So summer's coming, and that means with my new printer, I might want to dry my filament occasionally. And so, like a million other people, I decided to try one of these home dehydrators, and that meant I needed to have a lid for it big enough to hold some filament, and I could use a cake topper, or I could print a million extensions. And there are some times I just feel like, my printer's not really big enough to print a whole top at once or a whole ring. So rather than print a million pieces, I spent $7 on Amazon, right? So what I have is this dehydrator. It's 240 centimeters. You can see it says 9.43. But it's really 240 centimeters across. And so it turns out I found this clear storage tub designed to take hot liquids. And it says it's 10 by 10, but that's really the outside edge. So this is really 240 centimeters also. So it turns out this lid flipped upside down will fit on top of this dehydrator. And I can get two things of filament in it, right? But a lot of times, right now I'm only using one most of the time. So the question was, this thing's a perfect fit for this top, which means it doesn't fit outside, it doesn't fit inside. And I wanted there to be no gaps really when these two fit together, because these dehydrators, it just works better if you don't have gaps at the bottom. You don't get the heat you want. So I went through a couple iterations on this and created this clip on the left. Basically, the Rubbermaid tub has a lip on it designed to snap the lid to it. And so we're just going to use that same clipping area. And I created this, and it turned out it wasn't long enough on the outside, right? Like if you look at how this works right there, come in at an angle. And so what I needed was a short side and a long side. And if you have four of these around, it just stops the lid from moving around. It's not really clipped to it, but they don't move around. And so that's how I came up with option 2. And then I was like, thought I was a genius and it worked. So I would use this lower plastic one. And then it turned out you actually got to pull these clips apart a little bit to drop them onto the top. And so without the little handle on it, that didn't work. And if you look at how this works, right, if this thing's super short, they can still get bumped and knocked off. So I wanted a significantly longer retainer clip. So I actually made this version 4 here. This is all modeled in Microsoft 3D Builder. So we went from this one over here, and I ended up on this 4th one over here, which I really like. And you can see this is with one of the dehydrator trays here. You just put 4 of these around and they slip out. And because of the little handles, you can pop them away a little bit if you need to, but they just slide right on. And eventually I'll do a little spout to print through this and a little hub. And these clips should hold down enough that it shouldn't be a problem. And then I put little holes in the top. This is actually fewer vents than come with the dehydrator itself. So I would need to decide in the future. You can see I did a great job drilling the holes. I got to decide in the future whether it needs more holes, right? I don't want to fry this thing. And that brings up one other thing here. So this is 2 1 kilogram spools in here, and there is space around the outside, but on the second one, it gets a little tight. And there's no room for a third one at the top unless you had a small spool, like a 0.5 kilogram spool. So the question is, how do you get enough airflow? And so I make sure I have at least one dehydrator tray under here. So the idea would be it could blow back through the bottom of that. You could run this without the tray, but I think you need at least one. And then like I said, the other debate is whether you can heat 2 in here. I think you can. I actually just use a kitchen thermometer through one of these holes, and that lets me see how hot this thing can get. And so that's it. That's what I got. All the plan for this is actually on Thingiverse, and you can see that these are the STL file for 4 of them, and the same pictures with the clip and the same picture with the thing from the front. You can see how the 4 clips fit on the tray, and that's it. So what I really like this setup so far for the limited use I've gotten out of it. This is a 240 centimeter commercial chef. I think it's the same as a Westinghouse. There's a couple different sizes. This one's pretty small, but I kind of like it. If I was running a print fab, I'd probably buy one of the big square jobs instead. And then this is the Rubbermaid commercial, meant for hot liquids, or it can handle hot liquids. 6 quart. You can actually get like a 8 quart and a 4 quart. Some people might want the 8 quart for a bigger unit, but like I said, this one fit perfect. So I hope that's useful to you. If you're printing and you wanted to do something with the dehydrator and you didn't want to print a million pieces to make extensions for this. This gets 2 in there. I'm sure the big shops would do something bigger than this, but this is good for me. Have a great day.